You're live.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Baltimore City Board of Elections Board meeting for Thursday, July the 16th. It is now 4:02 p.m. I'd like to welcome everybody. We do have a quorum. We have two in person and two on the line. All parties are represented at this meeting. You have the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda as written? Any additions to the agenda as written? Hearing none, all in favor of the agenda as printed, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed have a right. The ayes have it. First, let me take a moment to introduce our guests to introduce themselves. If you'll just tell us your name and who you're affiliated with for our record.
My name's Jocelyn Martin. I'm with the League of Women Voters of Baltimore City and also Maryland Election Protection for Plumbing Laws.
Hi, Christina Keehan. I am the facilitator of the Baltimore Votes Coalition and an election judge in Baltimore City. Hi, I'm Sarah Fonfielier. I believe so. I'm a program coordinator for Baltimore Votes.
Hi, I'm Prince. I'm an Amy graphic design teacher for Baltimore Votes.
Good afternoon, James McLaughlin with Baltimore Votes.
Greetings and thank you all, especially the first timers. Welcome to the board. Members of the board, you do have the minutes were sent out to you. Look, I'll move for the approval of the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes of the May 21 meeting.
I need a second.
I second.
Has been properly moved and second that we approve the minutes of the May 21st, 2026 meeting. Are there any unreadiness? Any unreadiness? Any unreadiness? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed have a right. The ayes have it.
And that's
Pres-
with the edits, correct?
With the edits, yeah, with the edits. Thank you. President's report. Have it in front of you somewhere, yeah. Welcome everyone again to the Thursday, July 16th board meeting. On behalf of the board, I would like to thank the Baltimore City Board Elections Leadership Team, staff, Baltimore Votes, and all volunteers and who helped deliver a seamless and successful 2026 primary election. Special thanks go out to Board of Elections Director Clifford Tatum, who served in this role for less than 1 year and has been focused and fully engaged in leading this office to a higher level. I would like to thank those on our engagement team and all those who helped in the planning and execution of a successful memorial celebration for our former Deputy Director, Abigail Goldman. The race is not over. We have one more leg to run. The board looks forward to continuing our collective work with all of you as we move forward to our general election in November. I'd like to thank each and every one of you again for your involvement and your commitment to the Baltimore City Board of Elections. That's sincerely Sherrod Barnes, Board President. Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. As reflected in the report submitted to you, there's a few items that I'll give a report on. The election updates. As you indicated, we have successfully completed the June 23rd, 2026 primary. We submitted unofficial election results for certification. We had to reopen certification to add 56 additional ballots, what were described as the original voided ballots to the canvas count. That will be completed tomorrow morning and will be presented back to the Board of Canvassers to completely close out the 2026 primary election. We are actively conducting the risk limiting audit, which started on July 14th. And the completion deadline for that is July 20th. I believe we are ahead of schedule on that, but we're being deliberative in ensuring that we have the correct numbers that match hand counting the ballots to match the results tapes that were submitted to the state. And of course, we have the comprehensive audit, which covers a vast array of processes and procedures in the board's elections process. And we have roughly 30 days to complete that comprehensive audit. So we're working through that as well.
That, if you don't mind, Mr. Director, let me entertain questions on each part. Board members, are there any questions on the election update from Director Clifford?
I just love a little bit more, information on what goes into both the risk limiting audit and the comprehensive audit.
So the risk limiting audit is an audit that's conducted by the state board of elections. And what we're required to do is as we upload our election results to the state then conducts a sampling of polling locations that they want us to generate, to pull results from, to tabulate, to hand count the ballots to ensure that the machines read the ballots properly. And the state election board director, Mr. Demarinis, selected the number. There's a whole sequencing process that the state board goes through to identify what precincts and ballots to pull. They also determined what contests would be audited, and the entire state is auditing the Republican gubernatorial contest. And so based on the state's activities, they then identified to us what precincts to pull, what DS-200 to pull the results from, and then to compare, to upload those results that we hand count from the ballots into, there's a database that the state has created that we then add that information into. The state then reviews to ensure that the numbers match properly. So as we complete that process, we submit the information back through to the state. The state then confirms that our audit was successful.
And then what's in the comprehensive audit?
The comprehensive audit includes a review of polling places that the state identified had a discrepancy of 5 ballots or more, either plus or minus. And so based on that identification, we pulled results from the tapes, from the DS-200 tapes, to compare to the number of voter authority cards that were processed at the election polling location, which then does a comparison of the number of voters who turned out to the number of ballots that were cast on the machines. And then we have to explain that any discrepancies that may have occurred. And there's also an audit of the number of mail-in ballots that were submitted to the board for tabulation. So that we then pull a sampling of mail-in ballots from the first mail-in ballot 1, and then from mail-in ballot 2. And we also pull a sampling from the provisional ballot module to report the accuracy of the data that was captured on each of those particular categories of elections. And there's, I believe, a number of questions that are involved in that particular audit that we have to answer so that the state can see that the election judges were conducting the elections properly.
So that's what we looked at when we certified that was the comprehensive.
That is correct.
Got it.
That's correct.
Maria, Hope, any questions of the director on their election updates? Any questions?
Not at the moment. None for me, thank you. Thank you for the field report. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Proceed, Brooke.
The next item is the polling place review. So as a result of assessing the polling locations that were used during the primary election, we discovered that there are at least 6 polling locations that we will need to consider relocating as a result of safety and security issues for our election workers. Safety meaning the health and safety of those workers. Some of the facilities were just simply not up to par for safe operations. And so we're going through the process now of identifying those locations and what may be suitable locations that we can relocate those polling locations to. And once we identify relocation addresses, we will then submit that to the board for consideration. And that, of course, requires us to give the 21-day notice of board action to the public so that the public can then respond, and we'll then submit those those recommendations to the board for consideration.
What's your time frame to get that back to the board?
We would want to bring that to the board on the next board meeting, which is August the 20th. So we would, in short order, look to provide notice to the public by the end of this month, the close of next week, for consideration.
So you're going to communicate with the public and then bring it to the board for approval?
Yes. So what we do is we identify where the location, what the suitable location would be. We've noticed that we intend to relocate precinct 1 to a different location, and we take feedback from that, and then we submit that to the board for consideration.
Any questions for board members? Maria, Sam, Hope, any questions?
No,
Okay.
none at this time. Thank you so much.
The next item on the report is the election judges recruitment and training. And we have already reopened recruitment and are preparing for the next phase of training to take place for the general election. Applications were pending because we had secured the number that we needed for the primary election. So we're now adding new judges onto the roster for training and consideration. And we anticipate the training for the general election to begin the last week in August. The subject to the scheduling and availability of the training facility. It could slip to the first week in September, but we preferably would like to start at the last week in August.
Any questions? Any questions?
No questions.
Proceed.
Voter outreach activities. We are recommencing the outreach activities beginning the week of July 20th. We already have requests in the pipeline for our staff to provide coverage. And that to date, the requests have been for training voter distributors, folks that are going out registering people to vote. And as we begin receiving requests from different organizations for staffing support, one of the approaches we're going to take is to solicit some of our voter distributors who've signed up to be trainers, to be voter registration individuals, to support these entities that are requesting a voter registration activity support. So that'll be something new for us to pursue.
What our outreach to the different parties, how has that gone for this primary? And can you give us a analysis on how that went to the primary?
Part of the continued effort was to address the parity, the partisan parity of judges being assigned to polling locations. So we get a fair amount of Democrats to work the polling location. And then we made a concerted effort to recruit Republicans to support the polling place distribution, parity distribution. And so for the primary election, we sent out roughly 9,000 plus emails to Republican voters that we had in our system to request that they sign up for to be an election judge. And we will revisit that effort for the general election. We did not have enough to reach our parity levels that we had hoped for, but we'll continue reaching out to recruit both unaffiliated as well as Republican judges. So typically what happens is if we don't have enough Republican judges, then we assign unaffiliated voters to work as a chief judge in the polling locations and to work as other judges in the polling locations.
Any questions, board members?
I was just curious just about recruitment of chief judges, in places where we had challenges with the chief judge. Sort of how does that work? Is that, I guess, presumably from the existing judge pool?
So for the chief judges, we typically attempt to recruit chief judges from our existing roster of election judges who've been through at least at one election and they have some experience under their belt. We don't necessarily want to assign a brand new judge to be a chief judge because there's so many different aspects of the process that they have to be accountable for. But what we see and what we saw for the primary is that some of our chief judges called out from the election for a various number of reasons. And so we then had to elevate a standard judge, if you will, to become the chief judge of the polling location. And so we'll revisit attempting to identify more chief judges than we need to assign to a polling location in the event that we get the call out from our existing chief judges. There was a concerted effort with I believe Baltimore Votes and a couple of our other partners to do chief judges recruitment. And I think there was some success there, but not to the levels of what we had hoped to accomplish for this particular election. So we'll continue our efforts there as well.
As related to the Baltimore vote contingency, did we have a target? How close did we come to meeting that target?
So we did not set a hard target because as it relates to students working, because it's your numbers are generated by the number of students that choose to sign up. We did see that I believe we had recruited over 50 student judges, and I believe we trained at least 40 to 50. And I think the last number of the folks that actually served was about 30 student judges that served on election day. But those numbers that I can verify. But I think roughly that's about where we were. And we will continue those efforts to recruit our students for the general.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the board?
No questions from the board. I'll just probably do a follow-up later with the director. Thank you so much.
Proceed, please.
The next item is the election assessment, which falls hand in hand with the audits that we're currently going through. With the polling place and early voting center readiness, we used our election trainers to go through the call logs that were generated from the election day and election night activities to assess the categories of what worked, areas that we need to focus on for the general election. And so, as you can imagine, at the very beginning of the day, we have judges that were calling in for a number of different reasons: polling place access, not enough judges, not enough workers, can't find supplies, not enough ballots. And so based on those categories, we used our trainers to categorize the type of calls that we received early morning, and then the same thing for the type of calls that we received for the closing of the election. So that will inform us on the areas that we need to focus on for the next level of training for the general. By and large, the judges that worked for the primary will be the judges that will work for the general election, except that we will fill in where there were some gaps during the primary election. With the new judges that are being recruited, we'll assign them the polling locations where there was a couple of chief judges that didn't show up for election day. The judges that did step up, in effect, stepped into the position of a chief judge, we'll revisit chief judge training for those judges to make sure that they're better prepared for the next cycle. And then what we also learned was that as we had the trainers on board, we sent the trainers out to some of those locations to support the judges who had to step up to be a chief judge. And so as we continue our review, we'll go through the lessons learned. We'll have debriefings with some of the chief judges where we know we had some challenges on election day. And we'll interact with some of the judges where we didn't have challenges to get a sense of what worked and what didn't work, to pass on information to some of the judges where we didn't have such success, as highly as success as we would have liked.
I think that leads to my other question. Is there a process in place that we get feedback from the people in the field who actually does this on how to improve the process?
So there's two answers to that question. We by statute are required to do polling place assessments. And we did do that, polling place assessments, throughout the primary election with both board members as well as contractors that we hired to go through to visit certain polling locations to conduct a survey that's created by the state. And so that'll give us some information from an objective perspective, but we will also contact and call in chief judges and ask them for their feedback on what took place at their polling locations, and to address the areas of concern that they voiced, as well as to address some of the concerns of the election workers, as opposed to not just the chief judges, but the election workers themselves. And we'll do that for election day and early voting. The challenge there is the timeline. As we're at the end of July now, training will begin at the end of August. So there's a very small window of time. I likely won't be able to call in as many of the chief judges as I would have liked, but we will implement that program to get good feedback.
Any questions of the board? Any questions of the
That's an
board?
amazing idea. Amazing idea. Thank you for bringing in the chief judges to get the feedback. That's something that I know chief judges have been desiring to do, and understanding where the rubber meets the road and getting that bi-directional context is essential. So thank you.
Maria and Hope, so we'll get our record straight on this end. If you want to speak, give us who's talking, so we'll put it in, make sure we put it in the record.
Oh, sorry. This is Hope. That was Hope. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
I'll just co-sign what Hope said. I think all of these, especially the assessment and improvement items are really, really great.
And board member Threed has joined in on my phone, so he's in the
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, thank you. That's Terrence.
Yes,
Yes.
I put it in it looks like you joined at 4:17 PM, correct?
Yes.
Terrence, have you tuned into what we're saying, have said over the last 15 to 20 minutes, and do you have any comments?
No comments from me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And the last two items is the election judges' performance, which we just spoke about. We received a few complaints from election workers about the chief judges. And we've also had complaints from chief judges about election workers. So that'll be part of the process of identifying judges that will be rehired and judges that will not be rehired. And of course, processes and procedures, as you all participated in the board of canvassers process. I was observing the process, making tweaks to some of the processes and procedures to the extent that we could, but between now and the general, there will be some adjustments to the processes and procedures in our canvassing process and in our assignment process as a whole.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the director before I ask my final question? Very good.
This is Hope. None for me. Sounds good. Thank you.
brother, fraternity talk, sorry. Uh, Director Tatum, give me your observations about the event we held for Abigail today.
Yes. And so our engagement, we have an employee engagement committee here in the board, at the board. And they did a wonderful job in organizing a memorial for Abigail Goldman, our deceased deputy director, by setting up a memory memorial table, which displayed a collage of pictures, a proclamation from the governor's office, and some Jewish cultural items that were placed in commemoration of Abigail Goldman and her faith and culture. And so we extended an invitation to all city employees, to our delegates, to our city council members, to our state senate members, and to our citizens as a whole, asking them to participate in the process, making them aware that we were having a Memorial Day for Abigail today. And we opened at 12 noon for a gathering with fruit and vegetables and drink, and Abigail's family, both sister and brother-in-law, and her children, the sisters, Beth's children, participated. They came in. One was in New Jersey and wasn't able to participate, but they were all here and they were very thankful and interacted with staff and with the friends that visited. So we had election directors from across the state come today. There were some that could not make it because they were in the middle of a recanvass as well, but they sent their condolences and remarks. And I think as a whole, the staff went around. We went around to different staff who shared their thoughts and memories and stories about Abigail. And so it was a really good celebration of life for Abigail, and staff was able to provide their departure notices to Abigail and their thanks for Abigail's presence.
Thank you very much for that. Your remarks on that issue.
And I do, in sharing that, I think the board knows that, but in Abigail's absence, we did ask for Lisa Stanley, who was a deputy administrator in the office, to assume the duties of the acting deputy director, and she has agreed to do so, and she is filling the role of acting director, and has been, our letterhead and our website has been updated to reflect Lisa Stanley's position as the acting deputy director.
Thank you very much. Any comments to the director before we move on? Any comments to the director? Hearing none.
This is Hope. Thank you so much. And happy to hear that acting deputy director Lisa Stanley has been designated. Thank you.
We'll move on to the Assistant Attorney General report.
I just wanted to add, yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just to echo the thanks to the engagement committee and everybody who set up the event for Abigail. It was a really wonderful event, and it was, and I got to get the opportunity to see all the people who cared about her and to meet her family was a great experience. So thank you for that. And other than that, I have nothing to report this time.
Thank you. Any questions to the Attorney General? Assistant Attorney General. I won't give you the title too quick. Okay, hearing none. Any old business to come before the board? Any old business to come before the board? Hearing none. Any new business to come before the board? I would just like to reiterate, we will reconvene tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
At 10 o'clock
At the warehouse.
At the warehouse.
To
Canvas.
and recertify the election.
Yes.
Okay. The next meeting of the board is Thursday, August the 20th at 4 o'clock, unless emergency meeting needs to be called.
And that meeting will be here in the,
And the next meeting, yeah, will be here at, the office. Okay,
Thursday, August 20th, you said?
Thursday, August 20th, 2026 at 4 p.m.
Great.
Here at the Board of Election office.
Yes, it's August 12th, I think.
August 12th. Okay.
Is that, when is it?
Oh, it's Wednesday, I think it's Wednesday, August 12th.
August 12th.
This is the Maryland Association of Election Officials.
I guess was not gonna.
Any,
Where?
any, you said something, Terrence, I didn't hear.
I was just gonna request that we have it at the warehouse. That's it.
The meeting,
Yes.
so reconvening tomorrow will be at the warehouse. So let me look into that. And the reason being is that we've got that whole area now breaking down the supplies and the materials that came back.
Yes, sir.
Let me look at that. Okay.
That's it.
If there are no other business coming before the board, move for adjournment. I thank the visitors for coming. Always come back again. And we look forward to working with you all collectively as we move forward to the November general election. James, how are things going? Oh, we all.
We got to close the meeting.
Okay.
You've got one more meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I move for adjournment. It's technically it's
You don't
not
have to,
debatable.
yeah,
It's
you
not
can just say without
debatable.
objection, yeah.
This is without objection. The meeting has been, is adjourned. How's things going, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Thanks, Marie.